Welcome to my April music roundup. Here I'm going to be highlighting the music that released in April and other releases that were not from April but were from this year, but I listened to them in April, so I figured why not just cover them. I heard them, so like, yeah, may as well chuck them in there as well. Let's get started. Let's just go. Dreamville, one of the hottest hip-hop labels knocking about these days with Chlo, Jid, Earth Gang. I'd say a lot of the more exciting names in modern contemporary hip-hop that get the people going. They exist on Dreamville. But I would say this is a pretty skippable hip-hop album. I don't think this is good really at all. Like, despite this obviously having some of the bigger names in contemporary rap, like I was saying a second ago, I don't really think any of them like bring forward something to this mixtape that's refreshing or new, or like something we haven't heard them or seen them do before. There's kind of like a rowdy sort of rawness this mixtape's going for, with it being like a Gangsta Grills. They shoot for like a bit of a rough kind of mix aesthetic, and it kind of falls flat for me. I think it only ever serves as a detractor, especially on that first song, where J. Cole sounds like he is rapping through a default Xbox 360 headset. That tune with Cos had the worst fucking chorus. Yeah, the beat on the second track with Earth Gang, the kicks did this really cool thing. I'll give it that. They were like rolling and panning in this really unique way. I'll give you that. But that was the only moment that really had me going like, whoa. Next up, I heard the new Coffee album, Gifted. Comfy vibes right here. Some uplifting music, man. Like, dancehall reggae kind of thing. It prioritizes the soul, reassuring tone to this that I enjoy. It's a bit samey, but Coffee's voice, I think, is really the carrier here. Like, there's tons of charm and delight in the way she sings. It, like, actively sounds like she is making, like, what she feels like she was destined to make. And it just has a naturally positive impact on my mood whenever I do play it. It's pretty short, again, pretty samey, nothing crazy, but yeah, I definitely appreciate it. Next up, Vince Staples' new album, Ramona Park Broke My Heart. This is probably my least favorite Vince Staples album, but I do think it is a good album. I think the interludes don't amount to much, and there are just like some obvious low points to me, like the track Slide. Wow, it's just not good, man. For me, the tracks that are like the weaker moments that really stick out is like you could have easily just left off. I think he should have taken the same approach as he did the self-titled and really trim the fat 1000%. Like, make it a really brief, quick, just in and out, say what you need to say and nothing more, just bam. Like, that's what this album I think should have been, in my opinion. Because I think the fact that the last record was so brief like helped it, with it being so precise. Like, it just cut all the more deeper, and with this one being a bit more bloated, like the stories he tells here are interesting, but they don't really punch me in the gut as heavily quite the same. So for me, I think the tracks on this new record that steal the show are like the bops, you know, like Magic or freaking Lemonade, Free the Homies. When Sparks Fly, that's the big standout, I think, in my opinion. Overall, yeah, this is good, but probably his least essential one. Next up, Benny the Butcher with Tana Talk 4. I think some of the instrumentals in the second half sound a little too goofy. With their sample loops for them to really sell the kind of grittiness that this record's going for. I do enjoy that aesthetic, but I think some of the samples kind of sounded a little bit too like cheesy, but that's just me. Overall, this is still a solid rap project from the Griselda team. Excellent features on here as well. J. Cole actually does have a fucking great verse on that first track. Weekends in the Perrys was my favorite on the album. The opening verse has this dazzling rhyme scheme. Refer to my shit like Malcolm X. Words of knowledge. Burning product was a learning process. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to keep up. The standout line on this album for me was, "Who are you? I'm Scarface versus Sosa on both sides." I was like, fuck yeah, you are. Next up, I got Pup with the unraveling of Pup the Band. Gotta be the puppiest Pup album Pup have ever made. But this time they go even harder. Even puppier, even poppier, even punkier. As far as modern I can't say words, bro. There's so many P words. Pop, punk. As far as modern pop punk bands go, I think Pup are, for fuck's sake, this is actually a tongue twister. I think Pup are among the most interesting we have seen emerge over the last decade or so, but honestly, not much Pup unraveling was happening on the unraveling of Pup the Band. This seemed like kind of more of the same from what I could gather. It feels like they've kind of made this record already a few times, but you know what? In that respect, it totally works. This is not bad at all. I think these songs they're loud, passionate anthems, and they have made those before, but these songs they're genuinely memorable tunes. Like, the hooks, they pop, man. Like, the production is abrasive, it's loud, it's in your face. This feels like a fucking riot, and it's hard to not feel that when you hear it. It's contagious. This album just shows them doing what they do best, as well as they've ever done it, really. Can't complain. Jack White Fear of the Dawn. Let's fucking go. This album is amazing. He's always had that ear for the weird, even going back to the White Stripes days. He's always had that freaky kind of weird oddity to him, and he fully indulged that with the last album, Boarding House Reach. But I've come back to that album, and still to this day, I do not think it is a good album. I've tried it again. I was like, yo, maybe myself now would appreciate the ideas a bit more. And you know what? I do respect the album, but my guy, Hyper Misophoniac is the most ugly shit I've ever heard. I'm sorry. That's a hard pass. Freaking Ice Station Zebra, get that the freak out here, man. Over and over and over. And what's the third track called? What's it called? Oh, what the fuck's it called again? Like, it starts with a C, I think. We need a starter. What's it called again? Corporation. That's it. Corporation. That one's awesome. That one's awesome. Give me those two, but the rest, pass. This, though, this is exactly what I want from a weird Jack White album. It's unpredictable and unhinged, but never forgets to be stupendously ferocious at all times. Like, if you're sane and your favorite song from Boarding House Reach is Over and Over and Over, like it should be, then you're gonna eat this shit up, because he does that the whole time. It's amazing. My favorite song is Taking Me Back. Insane opener. When the tremolo comes in with the guitar, it is fucking crazy. Oh, his vocal performances, dude. This album is fucking awesome. It's fucking awesome. Seeing him live in June as well. I'm gassed. Next up, we have K Tempest. Normally with a K Tempest record, I leave kind of feeling like I've unlocked the Da Vinci Code and all the keys necessary to being happy and fulfilled in life. But I just feel like with this album, the observations and performances that they bring, it didn't really feel quite as urgent here like it has done on prior K Tempest records. I felt like there was kind of a lack of focus thematically, and I think that kind of disconnected me a bit from the album listening experience. That's kind of personally what I go to K Tempest for, but despite that, did I still enjoy this album? Absolutely. The songs here are some of K's most attention-grabbing stuff in regards to their flow, their cadence, their hypnotizing production, and genuinely really exciting feature spots too. I think they were going for something a bit more direct on this record. I don't think it's their best album, but it does show some exciting progression for the future, and that's nothing but appreciation from me. You know, when an artist does something new, exciting, different, this is definitely that. I just feel like it wasn't as well executed as, say, the previous K Tempest record. Definitely some of my favorite production they've been on though. So there's that. Next up, Chloe Moriondo with Puppy Love. The title is not lying at all. This project is in love with puppies. There's even a cover of Florence and the Machine's Dog Days Are Over on this album. EP, sorry. Chloe's got one of my favorite voices in pop at the moment, although I'm just not as into her when she goes for a more ballad-esque kind of tone, which she unfortunately does do a little bit on here, like with that Florence cover, for example. And given that the subject matter on this EP is super committed to being all about dogs, that dramatic kind of tone of her voice that she goes for here, it kind of clashes a little bit for me. Not that I don't rate dogs. I love dogs. Look at my boy right here. But this EP generally just sounded a little bit confused to me, I guess, with the tone and how she sounded. Again, there was a bit of a clash. I don't know if I come back to it, but you know, it was still like pleasant, even at its, you know, weaker moments, I guess. Wet Leg with their debut self-titled album. These guys are the fucking coolest. They're kind of a bit silly, I won't lie. They are a bit goofy, you know. These girls were put on the naughty step, on the regular, for sure. I actually love this album though. This is one of my favorites of the month. It has one of the most, like, contagiously lovable personalities I have heard in a while, man. Like, oh yeah, like, this album's super catchy, but isn't afraid to just say completely out there weird shit or make songs about the most, like, minute things. On Chaise Long, when she goes, would you like me to get someone to worry your mother? I think this album's funny, man. Its concise length makes it very easy to listen to again and again, and many of these songs just will not leave my head. I fucking love it. Supermarket is a big favorite for me. After that, it's the new Sid album, Broken Hearts Club. You know what? When it comes to Sid, if it isn't the internet, I'm not interested. And even then, I'm barely that interested. It's like they got a few great songs, but bruh, Sid for me is just like snooze city, bro. I'm sorry. This album is just nothing, bro. It's not even a thing. It's just not a thing that exists. Everyone has already heard this album somewhere, you know, like it could not leave an impression on me if it tried, man. Like, Tie the Knot has the worst beat I have fucking heard in months, years, forever. That beat is so bad. Like, the Smino verse, definitely enjoyed the Smino verse. His melodies were really cool. The romantic guitar tones on the opener, Could You Break a Heart, was lovely. I'll give it that. But as far as the content, the style, the vocals, general just artistic direction, just everything else really, it's just empty for me, bro. I just don't care about it. Sorry, Sid. You seem like the coolest, but nah, it's not for me, man. Next up, Father John Misty, Chloe and the Next 20th Century. The musical arrangements on this album are really beautiful. Father John Misty himself, his vocals, his lyrics, reminded me of Bo Burnham a lot on here, which I never thought I'd say, but like right away, opening track, it feels like I'm hearing inside. This was overall pretty likable, I thought. It was one of the more agreeable albums he's done. You know, I've never been a big fan of him, so the supremely burlesque kind of giddy production aesthetic here was kind of nice. It did wear thin a little bit later on, like as the album continued, like the novelty quickly started to run on empty. I'm like, bro, why am I even listening to this Disney ass album? Sounds like some Randy Newman shit for sure. Yeah, there are many moments where I caught myself like, man, what am I even listening to right now? But overall, I do think the charm here is strong enough to say I would enjoy it. I would come back to it. I kind of like this one. Next up, Young Lean with Stardust. I rated this, man. This was kind of fresh. I enjoyed how effectively shrouded this album felt. Every song in its own weird way sounds like you're stumbling across something really unique and golden, and very little of what this record is doing sounds like it should work at all, but it somehow just does. And sometimes, you know, sometimes it doesn't. But some of the most unique and interesting Young Lean songs pop up here. Like the opening track with FKA Twigs is a stellar tune. It plays to Lean's strengths perfectly. The song Lips with Skrillex is a really gentle piece of dubstep UK garage that Lean manages to capture a really like infatuated feel with his vocal performance on this one. And much like the artwork on this record, like this whole thing almost always plays like a strange scattered dream consisting of these images that you can't quite recall where you've seen them before. It's all kind of stitched and collaged together in a way you'd never imagine it that way, but it allows you to kind of see it in a new light. That's kind of how each song here feels to me, with the way it's mixed, with the sample choices, Lean's voice. It's like, these are all things I never would have imagined that would work together, but they just somehow do. This is probably for me one of Young Lean's most fascinating projects that he's made so far. I really like it. Violet Pony with Can Opener's Notebook, Fish, what was it? Fish Whisperer or some shit? I don't know. Fish something. I can't be asked. Sorry. This album is like a concept story album about like a pony named Can Opener who wants to be a musician, but their parents discourage it, but they want to do it anyway, so they go to like a yak festival or something. It's a bit of a mad story. This is one of the few albums off the top of my head that I can say for where the story that the music is telling is like really helping me enjoy the music a lot more. It's like really contributing towards a listening experience in a positive way, actively positive way. And it's really easy to visualize the musical story that this album is telling, as wild as it is. It's insanely inventive, and you know, when you look at, say, an album like, I don't know, like The Incredible True Story by Logic, like they got the story going on there. It's like, man, I could take or leave this. I don't need these skits or whatever. Like the music, like it's not really reinforcing it enough, or like there's not like a harmony here. But with this record, they are in direct correlation, and it's done in a way that really reinforces and boosts my enjoyment of the music. Like, I'm able to seriously take the dramatic heft that the music is presenting me with due to the story that is surrounding it. It was fun hearing it all play out, and the musical passages are just honestly really pretty. Definitely an album for the Glass Beach Porter Robinson fans. Reminded me of a bit of Delete Zeke at points. The guitar work on here reminded me of like underscores and breakants occasionally. I do struggle a little bit with the vocals from Violet Pony. Like they can be a bit too soft sounding for my liking over what is otherwise, you know, again, very hefty, dramatic, emotional music. But still, I think this is a really impressive album and a blast to listen to. After that, we got Pusha T, It's Almost Dry. I made a reaction video to this album. In that video, I was having loads of fun listening to it, was genuinely very impressed. A few listens later, I can say, happily, I'm still continuing to be impressed by this record. I think it is fucking dope. The thing I've noticed as well, the more I hear it, the lyrics are starting to stick out to me more than the beats are. When I first heard it, the thing that really hit me was the beats. But as I continue to play it, it's just like I'm more impressed with the bars he's bringing. There's like 6 minutes worth of memorable bars in every song, and all of these songs are like 2 to 3 minutes. Like, what the fuck? The production, whilst appropriate for push, I think can actually get a little bit tiresome on repeat listens. The flow isn't that, you know, smooth. It's kind of derivative as well for Pusha. Like I said in that video, he has definitely rapped over this type of production before. This is nothing too new for Push. And the fact that it keeps bouncing back and forth between Pharrell style and Kanye style, it can make for a kind of clunky front to back listen, in my opinion. Like Daytona, I think, brought some more dynamic and unpredictable ideas to the table in regards to production, but as far as just, you know, a blunt, well executed, stone cold hip hop album goes, this record is exactly that, and it is executed very well, so I can't complain too much. I think it's pretty dope. Next up, Hatchy, Giving the World Away. I've never really cared about Hatchy too much. I could hear her talent, like, easily on the singles and stuff, like, but I suppose it never really felt like something I'd be interested in returning to. But this new album, this shit's absolutely fucking great. This shit is stunning. I love this. The variety is extremely refreshing to hear, because I think my main issue with Hatchy is the songs kind of felt like they were deriving ideas from the same places, or kind of shooting for the same kind of feel, and it got a little just, you know, boring to me. That was the case on Keepsake. Even though it did have great moments, I just kind of found myself losing interest very often on that record. With this one though, man, there's new ideas coming from every freaking direction. This Enchanted and the rhythm managed to just completely fucking engulf me in the sea of tranquility while still being really catchy. It never forgets to just be fun at the same time, you know? I like the dancier moments, like the title track is so freaking groovy. Like overall, I think this album is, it's not only an improvement, but it's a hugely exciting leap for Hatchy artistically. Like, she's now on my radar. Like, okay, I'm gonna check for Hatchy now. Okay, this is one of the standout records from this month to me. Pink Pantheress new single, Where Are You? Gotta be in my top 5 Pink Pantheress songs. I think Willow, the feature from vale-smith, adds a lot to this track. Her voice is more kind of yelping, which is really exciting and dazzling to listen to next to Pink Pantheress, because she's more kind of tepid and shy. They kind of, you know, duet off each other really well. The beat too feels more like full and lush than I'm typically used to with Pink Pantheress. She's continuing to kind of advance her style here, build on it, but I'm interested to see if she's gonna, like, you know, switch up her style at any point, because I do think this song is showing potential for some more ideas, some newer ideas, some new styles to really pop off. Yeah, I do think this is still an excellent single.
Pink Pantheress, please drop a picture in my mind. Just do it. Drop the song. It's exactly what you need right now. It's a departure from your normal style. It's an absolute banger, and it's got a Sam Gellatry feature and a Sam Gellatry beat. Please.
That tune there is a demo I did, and Pink Pantheress picked up, but she's not here. It's meant to do with her. So bombard her to put that one out before summer, please.
Checked out the new Kaytranada remix of The Weeknd's Out of Time. Kaytranada flips Out of Time into a beautiful house beat right here. It doesn't beat the original tune, I guess, but that's a hard song to ruin at the same time, you know? Like, every sound on that track, from Abel's vocals to the sample to the chords, the key of the song, it's all just super feel good and lovely. Like, how could you go wrong making a remix of it? I think Kaytranada does great work here, and he uses the sound palette provided with that song to make a total banger. It continues to be just the ultimate Kaytranada. He's just the ultimate cheat code, the ultimate aux chord cheat code. Next up, I got the new album from Spell, Kiora 10. Rick, what does that mean? Beat Battle Master, Spell 316, just dropped this collection of 30 instrumentals, and it is super impressive. I know this guy from Kenny Beats' live streams. He always wins the beat battles whenever he pops up, because he's just so damn good. He's a very fun lad as well if you watch his YouTube video. There wasn't a single beat here that didn't leave me just smiling and feeling nice. The sound arrangement and sample choices, how he manages to bring it all together and combine it all so naturally and make just such groovy, soulful, beautiful music out of it. It's hard to not be impressed at this dude's skill as a producer. He should be getting placements all the fucking time. It does run more like a compilation, of course it is a beat tape. Yeah, the consistency here is hard to deny. I think some of the bass tones he uses can sound a little bit off, in my opinion. It does kind of add to the zany and fun aesthetic of his stuff, but there were just a few that felt maybe too squelchy for me or something, in like an ugly way. Opening track, Let My People Go, 404 Baby, and Nothing Else would be my favorite tunes here, but overall, yeah, it's a great beat tape. Next up, I got 2 new Logic tracks that came out, Tetris and Decades. Look at him go, he's still at it. Good old Logic. He's teasing a new album now called Vinyl Days, and these tracks are probably exactly what you'd expect from a title like that. He's tapping more into his throwback 90s sound, kind of reminding me of his young Sinatra stuff a little bit more, but still maintaining the charm and honest love for hip-hop that was evident on his last main album, No Pressure. I enjoyed Tetris more than Decades. The tempo switches on Decades were just a bit too jarring for me. But yeah, yo, on his YouTube channel, he's got a snippet for this track called Clouds that is fucking wonderful, man. Like, yo, that snippet easily beats these two singles. If that is on the album, yo, I'm actually a little interested. Billy Woods, Ethiops, Preservation production on here. And let me tell you something about the production on here. It's not only is it by Preservation, but it's the best production of all time. My favorite beat selection on a Billy Woods solo album to date. It is bone-chilling, meditative, minimal and atmospheric. It is just wonderful. The way the drums like clatter against each other in such a disheveled and just unpredictable way on some of these tunes is really beautiful. Creates for some of the most thick and tangible atmospheres I've ever heard on a Billy project. The features here were also really solid, especially Boldy James and LP and Despot. They all came with fantastic features and just fit into that atmosphere so comfortably. My issue with this project though comes on some of the more minimal tracks, like on maybe the Doldrums. There are a few cuts here where the beat is so like kind of gentle, subtle, and minimal, and then Billy's rapping style, of course, how he raps, you know, he's so frantic and panicked and referencing all types of random fucking historical shit. He's always so coded with it, and I feel like there's a bit of a disconnection, you know, between what the beat is going for and what Billy's going for, where it kind of sounded like Billy's not doing a bad job, but I feel like another rapper would be more appropriate for this kind of instrumental. That did happen in a few spots for me, and it kind of made for a listen that front to back felt a little bit clunky in spots, but that doesn't make it a bad album at all. I think it is a really good album. I love the track Wharves, the line "fuck the world, Pac screaming." I like how that is a reference to the song Fuck the World, but also just the idea of Pac from up above, from the beyond, looking down, still saying fuck the world. I like how this song kind of tackled the idea of punishment and unfairness. Billy manages to make some really interesting and thoughtful references back through history about farmers taking over land and stuff like that to sort of make this point, making it just a really dazzling experience to listen to. Overall, it is easily one of the best rap records I've heard this year, but I wouldn't say it's like one of my favorite Billy Woods albums. Some of his most telling and touching verses to date though do pop up on here, so I cannot knock it at all. It's still definitely quality. Remorseless, bro. That shit had me shedding thug tears.
Confidence Man, Tilt.
I found this record to be really enjoyable, really playful. The way they use vocal samples and incorporate them into house grooves is insanely creative and full of personality. What I Like and Women were instant favorites for me. Some of the vocal chops were a little bit like on the nose, cheesy, but to be fair, like the more I listen to it, the less the cheese bothers me. Holiday is like an eternal fucking jam. This is a fun record, man. Definitely just one of the more like carefree and just like unapologetically, just contagiously delightful, you know? I really like this. It did run on a bit long, I suppose. Variety-wise, I suppose you could say it's lacking, but it knows what it is. It does what it wants to do, and it does it well. Fontaine's DC Skinty Fear. I've been rating this band for a while. This is probably my least favorite record by them so far, personally, but it is probably their most diverse and their most ambitious. They do keep the kind of melancholic tones of the last one, but throw in some curveballs too with the song structures and the vocal delivery. The band often divulge into these like slower passages too, with these like long build-ups. It's a very dramatic sounding record, and I will say the first couple tunes didn't really do it for me. It took a minute to get going, but when it did get going, they did pump out some of their best tracks to date. Jackie Down the Line, beautiful. I love the guitar tones on How Cold Love Is. There's a lot to appreciate here. The lyrics and tone of this record, again keeping that more downtrodden aesthetic that they have going on with The Hero's Death, which I do think works for them. Overall, I think artistically this is a bit more directionless. It feels a little confused as to like what it's trying to be. That's just me though. This is probably my least favorite one they've made so far, but it's still quite solid. It's still good. I think they're definitely one of the more exciting bands working these days. New album from Duster is called Together. I feel like the Duster comeback was kind of understated. It didn't really like, no one like freaked out over it. Their comeback has been nice though, honestly. They've released 2 albums since coming back and reforming, and they're both good records. One of the most essential slowcore bands right here. And I think this new record is nice, man. I thought Time Glitch was really compelling. I love how the guitar loop was so serene and relaxing, yet the distortion, the way it just kind of like corrupt the music in a kind of eerie way. Like, as much as this track was trying to sort of bask in serenity, like it couldn't escape the roughness, and there was something really beautiful about the way it sounded. Teeth as well had a really beautiful loop made up of this powerful thumping bass line, and a really great use of panning on the guitar work too. I think aesthetically the rough slowcore sound that they've always had is still very much apparent on here. I feel like all my favorites just kind of sound like, you know, this is classic Duster, still killing it. But I appreciate how they did kind of venture out there with the sound trickery and kind of do some interesting things and create some new atmosphere. The soundscapes and textures and ideas felt refreshing, felt new for the band. I guess the palette was very much the same. You know, normally their music does sound kind of down in the dumps, I guess, but this one, it had like a unique eeriness to it. I would say I like it a bit more than the comeback self-titled that they did. The debut full-length album, shit. From Swedish House Mafia, Paradise Again. It's way too long, dude. For the amount that this album likes to build up a crazy drop, the drops were just a bit mild on here. And what the fuck were the features doing? Just a really messy record, but to be fair, there were some serious floor fillers on it. I feel like the standout moments, they really did hit. Definitely ran more like a compilation. Yeah, I don't know, like Swedish House Mafia, man. It's just too little too late, bro. At this point, just a bit of a forgettable one, if you ask me. And just the ASAP Rocky track, just that one was the most puzzling. I don't know how much of the Swedish House Mafia fan base was asking for that, but I cannot imagine it's a lot. So there you go, that is the April roundup. Hope you guys are doing alright. I can't lie, this month's been kind of trash. I don't know what it was about this. I've been to some really cool concerts. I had some really fun times at shows this month, but generally, bro, I don't know. I ain't really been, like, feeling at my best. Maybe I need to do another mental health check video. I don't know, but the music's always there. If no one else got me, I know music got me. You know what I'm saying? And 2022 is kind of going sicko mode. It's kind of going insano mode with it. A lot of great releases. There were some in April that I'll cover in the next roundup, like Let's See Grandma, King Gizzard, Spiritualized, you know, Tori Moi, Future. I think they were April, or maybe some of those were early May, I can't remember. But I know some of them were in April, like at the very end. I'll cover them a lot in the next one. But yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. Have you guys had a good month? You guys are alright? April, early May, how we doing? You know what's keeping me going the most out here, bro? Concerts and the knowledge that Kendrick is about to drop. Those are the two things keeping me going. And shout out to Northern Lion as well. I watch at least 3 Northern Lion videos a day. Is that like a sign that I'm going through it? I don't even know. Anyway, I do hope you guys are well. Let me know what you've been enjoying music wise and just how you've been in general lately. I'm always up for a chat, so just drop in the comments. Whatever you feel like dropping in the comments. And I'll catch y'all soon. I love y'all so much. Bye-bye.